This is a short video to give you some assistance with evaluating some numbers that have been put to the power of a fractional index and how to work these through. What I would like you to do though is to stop the video at each of the questions, or even just try the questions as they are on the screen just now. But what I'll do is just kind of pause the video, try the questions, and I'll show you how to do them. I'm just going to do them really reasonably quickly. 26 questions here, 26 marks. If you look at the first one, reasonably easy, to the last one, reasonably complicated. So that's going to start getting a wee bit complicated once we get down to the bottom. When we start from L, I think L is the first one where there's negative indices, and you need to try and think about what you do with them as well. Right, let's go and we'll start getting through this this video. So this is for National 5. I'm also doing this with my third and also my second year, and we've been looking at indices in this fashion here. Right, let's go ahead. Right, so find the value of these ones here. So freeze the video, work them out, okay? I'm just going to go and answer them now. So what I'd do is I'd change them into root form. Okay, so I've got 16 in there, I've got a 4 at the bottom, and the power of 1 up there. We don't usually write the 1, but I'm just putting it in just now for that. So we're going to try and find the fourth root of 16. So what number, I'll get the fingers out, what number times itself, times itself, times itself, so that's 4 of them, so would give you 16. So it must be an awful small number. So you can guess. Is it 2? Well, let's check. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. Yep, so it's 2. So there's the answer. We got it right away. So what we've got here is the cubed root of 8. I'm going to miss out that 1 that's there. I'm not really going to, I don't really want to put that in, okay? So the cubed root of 8. So what number times itself gives you 8? Again, really small number. Start at 2. Is it 2? 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Yeah, we've got that one as well, okay? Right, so I've got 36 and I've got it to a square root. So we usually write it like that there. Just so you can see where the numbers go, I've got the numbers there. Sometimes you think of the index with a fraction as a wee flower. That what we've got is that at the bottom it's the root. So the root's at the bottom of the flower, and up at the top, that's where you get the power from the sun. So the power at the top goes there, and the root goes down here beside the root sign, okay? Usually we don't write the 2 in though. So the square root of 36, well that's just going to be 6. Right, so I've got 27 to the power of 2 upon 3. So if I write it in root form, I've got a 3 that's going there, I've got a 2 that's going there, and the number I've got inside is 27. Try and make sure your numbers are small enough so that they're not confused with whole numbers, okay, as before the root. So what I'm going to do here is I've got 2 options. One of my options is to square 27. Then if I square that, I'll then find the cubed root of whatever that number is going to be. But that's going to be a lot of work, and that's going to be pretty tough to do. Easiest way to do these is to take the cubed root first of all. Take the root first, whatever root it is, and then expand the number up. Always makes it a lot easier. So I'm thinking, what number times itself gives me 27. So is it 2? 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. No, it's not that. It's a bit bigger than that. So let's try 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So that's 2 of them. Times 3 is 27. Got it. So that's going to be 3 to the power of 2. So 3 squared is going to be 9. Okay. Next one, I've got 64 to the power of a third. So that's the same as the cubed root of 64. So I know that 3 would be 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So it's a bit bigger than 3. So if I try 4, 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. Yeah, that's going to be 4. Okay, that's my answer there. And here I've got the cubed root of 1,000. So I can think about what number that's going to be. Well, I know it's a lot bigger than 4. Try 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10, yeah, it's 1,000. So that's going to be 10 is my answer that's there. So that's them done there. That's the first load. Okay, we'll just move through them reasonably quickly from now. Okay, so what we've got, once that focuses for you. Okay, so here we go. Right, working along here, the first one with a negative power is this one that's along at the end here, and we'll deal with that in a second. So 25 to the power of a half. So that's square root of 25, that's going to give me 5. This one here, I've got the fourth root of 81, and then I'm going to cube it. Remember, take the root first, don't cube 81 first. So the fourth root, so it's what number times itself times itself times itself gives me 81. So that's going to be, you know, I can say, is it 2? 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. Nope, it's not that. Is it 3? 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3, yep, that's 81. So that's going to be 3 to the power of 3. And 3 cubed is going to be 27. So there's my answer for that one. So 125 to the power of 2 upon 3. So that's going to be the cubed root of 125, and then I'm going to square it. So the cubed root of 125, so it's a wee bit bigger than that, okay? But as a cubed number, what we'll go for is, so if I take the cubed root of 125, I'll get 5. And I've still to square that, so that should give me an answer of 25. Okay, next one, I'm on to the square root of 64. So that's like the square root of 64. 2 there, the 1 there, square root of 64 is just 8. Right, so a more difficult number here, so I'm looking for the cubed root of 216. Okay, so let's see, so try and work that one out. So I know that the cubed root of 125 is 5, so it must be a little bit bigger than that. So let me try 6. So 6 times 6 is 36. Let's try and times that by 6, and that'll be 3 of them. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times that's 18. 19, 2, 1. Yeah, I've got it. So that's going to be 6, okay? The answer to that is 6. Right, this one here has got a negative power with it. So what I'm going to do with a negative power, first thing, I'm going to put it over 1. So the negative power allows me to take that there down to the bottom of a fraction. So what I've got is a 1 on the top, and I've got 16 down there, and that's to the power of a positive a quarter. Okay, so from there I'm going to work it out. So I've got 1 on the top, I've got 16 is going to be a fourth root. If I take the fourth root of 16, so what number times itself times itself times itself gives me 16, and that's going to be 2. So the answer there is going to be a half. Okay, moving on to the next questions, and these are all going to have negative indices with them. Okay, so if you can try and work these ones out, just based on what I showed you with the last question, L, and see how you get on. Here we go with them. Okay, so it's 4 to the power of minus a half. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write the 4 on the bottom with the power of a half there. Okay, I'll change that into root form. So that's the square root of 4. So that again gives me a half as an answer. I've got 16 to the minus a half. So it'll be 1 all over 16 to the power of a half. Just write that into root form on the bottom. So that's going to be the square root of 16. So that will give me an answer of a quarter coming out there. I've got 9 to the power of minus a half. So that's going to be 1 all over 9 to the power of a half. That's going to give me 1 over the square root of 9. So that will give me 1 over 3. So it'll be a third. Okay, I'm starting to get a wee bit more complicated. So what I've got is 1 all over 27 to the power of 2 upon 3. So that'll be 1 all over the cubed root of 27, and then I'll square that. So the cubed root of 27 is going to be 3, square that, and that'll give me an answer of a ninth. What I've got here is 256, okay, so 256 to the power of minus 3/4. So again, just the same, because to get rid of that negative power, I have to move the number, or the part that's to the power, to the denominator. So that's 256 to the power of 3 upon 4. From there, what I'll do is I'll take the fourth root of 256 and I'll cube it. So the fourth root of 256, well, I know that 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. So if I do a bit of working, 64 times 4, and that really should work out to be, that's going to be 16, that's going to be 24, 25, 256, yep, got that, okay. So that was going to be 4. So that answer is 4, and I've got to cube that to get my final answer, and that's all over 1. So that would give me 1 all over 4 cubed is 64, so 1 over 64 for that. For this question here, what we've got is 1 all over 1000 to the power of 2 upon 3. Not negative 2 upon 3, 2 upon 3. Okay, so what we'll do with that one is that I know that the cube root of 1000, well, that's going to be equal to 10. So it's going to be 1 all over 10 squared, so that should give me 1 over 100. And that's my answer there. Right, so the negative indices are a bit more difficult and they're a wee bit more complex. Hopefully you don't get them in the exam, but you could do. You know, that could happen. Right, let's look at, we've just got another 2 quick slides to go, so if you can try these questions, and what I'll do is I'll answer them in a couple of minutes. Here we go, so that's 16 to the minus 3 upon 2. So I'll change that, so it's a minus, so it's 1 all over 16 to the 3 upon 2, positive. So that's going to be 1 all over 16, I've got a square root, and I'm going to cube the answer to it, okay, because that's the root and that's the power. So that's going to give me 1 over 4, and that's going to be cubed, and that's going to give me 1 over 64, because it's 4 times 4 is 16 times 4, 64. For this one here, I've got 1 all over 8 to the power of 4 upon 3. So what we've got then is we've got 1 all over the cube root of 8 to the power of 4. Cube root of 8 is 2. So I've got 2 to the power of 4. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16. 1 over 16. Next one, I've got 8 to the power of 4 upon 3. So that's a positive number. So remember, that's just going to be root, cube root. Same as this question here, near enough. The only thing is it's not a fraction. So a cube root of 8 is 2. 2 to the power of 4 is going to be, let's see, 16, isn't it? 16. So the same answer as that one there. Okay, near enough. Negative power given us a fraction. The positive power given us the straight root from there. Right, this question here, a bit different from the others. I've got minus 8 there, and it's 1 to the power of 1 over 3, or a third. So if I write that into this form, so I've got the cube root of minus 8. So what number times itself gives me minus 8. Well, it has to be a negative number. So let's start at 2. So minus 2 times minus 2 will give me positive 4. Positive 4 times minus 2 gives me minus 8. Yeah, so that's going to be a minus 2 as an answer there. So I've got 64, cube root, squared. So cube root of 64, 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. So that's 4 to the power of 2. That will give me an answer of 16. The more you do them, the more easy they just become. And the numbers are pretty repetitive, they're quite similar. So what I've got here is this is a negative power here, if I can just see it. Yeah, I think there's a negative power there. So what I've got is 1 all over 100, and that's the power of 3 upon 2. So it's 1 all over square root of 100 to the power of 3. So I don't need to write the 2 in, but I'm just writing it in for yourself to see where it goes. So that's going to be like 10 to the power of 3 on the bottom. So that's 1 all over 1,000. Okay. Right, so we've got a bit of a challenge for the next sheet. There's 2 questions that I think are reasonably tough to work through, and you have to use quite a lot of your knowledge on how to work these ones out. Okay, so have a go at these. This is the last 2, and that'll be 26 of these that you'll have done. And hopefully you've kind of learned something from it.